Deciding whether or not to invest in poultry or catfish business go beyond the startup cost, the operation cost, the market and profitability. Today, I'll be sharing with you some other factors to consider aside the profitability of both catfish business and poultry business before even investing. If you're ready, let's go. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Daniel. If you are new here, I help you discover, learn and improve your processes when it comes to business, agriculture and other businesses, money, productivity and time management. If you have not subscribed, please click on the subscribe button, turn on notification so that you know when I release a new video. Sometimes ago, I did a video comparing poultry and catfish, which is profitable. I see that there are other factors that you need to look beyond before making your final decision. I will be talking about some other factors to consider before making your final decision. The number one thing to consider is the location of your farm, be it poultry or catfish. For poultry business, you have to choose a location that is very far from a residential area because of the smell of the chickens, which is not advisable for you to have your farm located in a residential area. So when deciding the location of your farm, you need to see if you have time, especially if you are not going into it full time, to actually look after your chickens. But for catfish farming, the one advantage that it has over poultry business is the fact that you can actually start your catfish at the back of your house with just a bath. This is one thing you need to consider. If your farm is located in a very far area, will you have time to actually look after your chicken? The second factor you need to consider, the management, be it time, is and the personnel management. For poultry business, you need to manage it at the very beginning, especially when they start laying eggs. If you are going for the layer breeding, you have to make sure that you manage them very well, because egg is like a magnet. It catches the eyes of some people, which might result in them stealing the eggs to sell. You need to be able to see to the feed they are giving your chicken. But for fish farming, even if you just feed them for a day and you leave, it is okay. You only need time if you need to sort them out and do some other things. Aside that, they don't even need much management like poultry business. So if you are deciding which one to go into, you need to see that it will be the one that you think, if you don't have time, they will be fine at the end of the day. Another thing to consider is the availability and alternative of feed for whichever business you want to go into. For poultry business, will the feed be easily accessible wherever your farm is? And if it's not, are there alternatives that you can use? It is very difficult to get the right alternative for feeding your chickens, especially if you are running a layers bed farm. Giving them the wrong type of feed can actually affect their egg production, which on the long run can bring a loss to your pocket. For fish farming, it is easy to get alternative feed for them. For example, if you don't see the actual feed you've been giving them, you can temporarily give them blood meal to eat for maybe like 2 days before you get the actual feed you are giving them. So before making your decision into going into any of this business, take a look at this factor and reconsider your decision. Another factor you need to consider is the amount you need to spend on the facility for your farm. For poultry business, if you want to construct a pen for your farm, it will cost you much money, although most of the costs are one-off costs, just like fish farming, but it will cost you much money and it will take time before you recoup that money compared to catfish business. So you need to sit down and do an estimate of your cost you'll be spending on the facility. For example, the cost of building the pen they'll be staying, the cage and other things you'll be buying for you to set up their pen. But for catfish farming, you can easily start with buying 2 plastic tanks and raise your catfish there for some time. In the space of 3 to 5 months, you can actually recoup your money in back. So you have to look at your pockets and decide, do I have required amount to actually set up this and still have money to finance other things after setting the facility up. So before making your decision on whether or not to go for poultry or catfish farming, you need to look at the cost involved in setting up the facility. Another factor you need to consider is the risks involved. Just like every other business, the risks involved in poultry business is very minimal and high at the same time. If you are taking care of your birds very well, you can actually manage the risks involved in poultry business. But a flu can actually destroy your investments. I've done a video on the risks involved in poultry business. You can check that out up here. For catfish business, the risks involved is minimal as well, depending on the aspect of catfish farming you are going into. I'd like to know, which of these factors will you be considering before making your final decision? Drop that in the comment section. If you have not watched the video where I compared poultry and catfish business, I'll drop the link in the description box. You should check that and watch it as well before making your final decision. I have a complete playlist on both poultry and catfish business. You can check it here. If you've not subscribed, please click on the subscribe button, turn on notification so that you know when I release my next video. Catch you here.